Hey, welcome to Art. Yeah, this is Art 100, and we are talking about week number 2. And this week we are gonna everything in the syllabus, and I'm still working on it. I've got most of it done. I will upload what I have right now, but most of it just it's what we're going to be doing week by week that isn't done yet because I got it so late. I'm still reading and doing some stuff of that nature. My camera is just a little bit off of my screen, so you'll see me looking to the right. It's because I'm looking at my camera. But just so you know, this week we are going to read from, we're going to start out by reading from Living with Art. We are going to read chapter 1. Specifically, we are going to read Looking and Responding, which is on page 16, I believe, and it goes to page 19, 20, somewhere in that ballpark. That's all we're going to read this week. But I do have 6 questions that'll be on D2L that you need to respond to. And when I'm looking for a response, I don't want because or one-word answer. Part of what defines art is that art should raise questions. Art should raise questions that cause you to answer how you feel, how you think, what you know. So those are all things that I want you to think about when you're responding, is that I would like a little bit of depth. If you want to give me a video analysis of the questions, I'll take that. If you want to type them out, I'll take that. But I would like a little more thought to it. So again, we're going to read chapter 1, looking and responding and answering the 6 questions. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to watch, for media, you're going to watch 2 YouTube videos, and one lasts like 6 minutes. The other lasts maybe 8 or 9. Both of them are going to be on how to look at art. One is specifically How to Look at Art by the Phoenix Art Museum. It has 6 to 8 principles of what you need to look at, and I will have those posted for you on D2L. But I want you to think about that now. I sent you out blind in a sense and asked you to review art, and I gave you look at it objectively, look at it subjectively. I asked some questions that you may not have known the answer to yet, but I want you to think about now what I'm asking you to do now when you look at these 2 videos, because now you're going to go and you should approach art a little differently. The one video, it says we only look at art for a few seconds, maybe even less than a minute. And it's going to ask you, in reality, you should really take a good look at it. You need to look at all that it has to offer. Most cases, people look at art like Mr. Griswold did in Vacation. He goes up to the Grand Canyon and puts his arm around his wife, and then turns around and walks away. If you look at it that way, it's just a big hole in the ground. But when you really look at the Grand Canyon, there are so many different things. On one side of the Grand Canyon is a gray squirrel. On the other side is a red squirrel. Completely different species. They behave and act differently, but they are squirrels. And then what's the river that goes through, and why does it carve its way through, and why does it meander at that spot? There's a million questions that you could answer and a million questions that you could have about what the Grand Canyon is. So when you really start to take time and look at something is when you really start to get answers. So that's what I want you to think about. I also want you to look at the other video is how to do a visual analysis in art. And this is a little more heady. This is more like what an art historian would do. And I want you to compare and contrast those 2 videos. Why are they different? Well, do they say the same thing? Do they ask you to do the same thing? Why is one more intense, would be the word I would use, than the other one? And why would you need to have that intensity? Well, I think because art is meant for your viewing pleasure. A lot of us watch a movie, and some people immediately give you a critique of the movie and say, well, it was good or it was bad. I didn't like it. And then they'll tell you why they didn't like it. Some people might not tell you why they didn't like it because they think it's private. But the real question is, why didn't they like it? What was it that made it a bad movie for them, but made it a great movie for you? I think about Loki right now in the Marvel Universe. It was a great series, and I really enjoyed it. But I could see where the person said, oh my God, that was bizarre. Why would anybody like that? It's so strange. Okay, so, but the real question you have to do is two people sit down, they have a discussion, you find out why. And then, believe it or not, Loki is an art piece. The more you ask questions, the more you think about it, the more knowledge you gain, the more you understand what it's all about. Comic books have been doing multiplanar universes a long time. And that's what that's about. And it's trippy stuff. The last thing I'm going to ask you to do on this list is I'm going to ask you to draw a selfie. Now, I don't want you to go and take a picture. I don't want you to look in the mirror and draw yourself. I want you to draw yourself from your imagination. You can include words. You can include objects. So, like, for example, I like to play football. I also like to coach football. So the picture of me could be a figure, and it could be coaching football. It could be playing football. So this is more like a doodle in the sense that it could have a lot of images. I don't really have a set of specific things that you have to have in your drawing, other than I don't want it to be just you. Okay? I want you to give me information about who you are. So think about that. Think about the two analysis that I had you look at. Why are we looking deeper than just a photo of yourself? So it's a selfie, but in a sense, it's a selfie that has to include the 10,000 words, because they say a picture paints 1,000 words. So it's got to include 10,000 words in the picture in a sense. Not actually, you don't have to write out 10,000 words, but it has to have things that define who you are. And if I had to say anything, I'd probably say it has to have, I've got 6 questions, so it should have 6 things that define who you are. Just putting a football player for me would be wrong because I wrestle. I was a wrestling coach and I wrestled and I did pretty well. I also ran track like that too. I love watching movies. I collect comic books. I make sculpture. I draw pictures. I paint pictures. So there's more to me than just what you see. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I have a son. I have a daughter. I have pets. I like food. So think about your selfie, define your selfie, and just make a drawing. Okay, that's this week's assignment in Art 100. I will have it posted to D2L in a matter of moments, and we'll be able to go from there. If you want, you can take a picture of this. This will be what we're doing this week. This is week number 2 or 2. Good luck.